Now, I'd like to share with you one thing that I think is very important. The Seventh-day Adventist Church. The Seventh-day Adventist Church believe that chaplains are especially trained ministers to work inside what I call closed institutional settings. We are the church where in no other aspect the church can be present. These closed institutional settings, let's say a hospital, a university, inside the police force, inside the military. If you are not one of them, you cannot get in. In a hospital, if you don't have an ID card that identifies you as a member of that institution, you can't get in. Today, I can even in my world as a retired chaplain in the military, I can go to any military installation. I show my ID card. They immediately salute me. They welcome me in, and I can get in. So chaplains are those that because of their training, because of their position, they can go inside closed institutions. No other one can do that. So that's why we need chaplains. They are trained and they work inside those institutions. Chaplains also are an extension of the church. Many times, most of the time, I introduce myself as a chaplain, and they want to know, what kind of chaplain are you? Who do you represent? Oh, my friends, that gives me the most beautiful opportunity to preach the full gospel, because I tell them, I am a Seventh-day Adventist chaplain. The message is preached there. I believe that the world was created in 7 days. I believe that God created the world. I believe that the 7th day is a day of rest. Adventist, I believe that Jesus Christ is going to come. I believe in the advent of Jesus, when he's going to come and take us all home. The whole message is preached there. So we are an extension of the church. And the most beautiful thing is that when you work in areas such as the military, when you work in hospitals, especially outside the church, and when you work in those areas, you are being paid by other people's money, as one of my friends says. You are not being paid by tithe money many times. So you work for the church. You are an extension of the church being paid by somebody else, many times. You are also instruments of the church, caring for people as Jesus cared. With your actions, by just telling them who you are, you're preaching. You are teaching. With your prayers in hospitals and in many other areas, you also do healing. You also do counseling. Inside those agencies, inside those institutions, you are a Seventh-day Adventist minister. That is why it's so important that all chaplains first be Seventh-day Adventist pastors with the same training, same education. And you are there being an extension of the church, being an instrument of the church, caring again for people as Christ cared. Chaplains are the only face of the church to a number of people during time of crisis in their lives. Sometimes chaplains are the first face of the Seventh-day Adventist Church that thousands, if not millions of people around the world will see. And sadly, chaplains are in many cases the last face that many people will see before they die. Chaplains are where people are. Now let me share with you, as part of this course on the development of chaplains in the Seventh-day Adventist Church. The first chaplains we had were in education in the 1870s. And I began my presentation today by sharing with you and explaining to you the characteristics of a chaplain that were enunciated, were written to us, were given to us by Ellen White. Those were our first chaplains in the 1870s. Then after Battle Creek College came Battle Creek Sanitarium, and that's where we had our first healthcare chaplains in the 1880s. The first Adventist military chaplains came in the 1930s. And we have chaplains not only in the U.S. military, in Canada, in many countries in Africa. We have chaplains. In one of those countries in Africa, the chief of chaplains is a Seventh-day Adventist. And here in the United States also we have the chief of chaplains for the Navy was also a Seventh-day Adventist. So we have chaplains in the military. We have chaplains in correctional institutions. Again, many places in Africa, in Europe, in the Middle East, in the Far East, here in the United States, we have also chaplains in correctional institutions. And in 2004, in the United States Senate, seat of government for one of the largest, if not the largest country in the world, is a Seventh-day Adventist pastor. In the community settings in the 20th century, chaplaincy began to expand in law enforcement, healthcare, and civil air patrol. And now we have chaplains in every area of chaplaincy around the world. We even have chaplaincies in many of our sport teams. In the Italian Olympic teams, there is a chaplain. So this has been an overview of chaplaincy and what chaplaincy is all about. And as we move into the next phase, because the first phase in the General Conference, we had a commission called the GC, General Conference War Service Commission. We didn't like the name because we are not a war church, we are a peace church. So we renamed that to the National Service Organization. Today we have a new name for it, and it's called the World Service Organization, because that is a program that supports Adventists that are serving in police and military around the world. And during that time of the National Service Organization, we had our first military chaplains and endorsed educational chaplains and spiritual support of chaplaincy. But then in the 1980s, it was changed. The name was changed from National Service Organization, or it was created a new department called Adventist Chaplaincy Ministry. The National Service Organization did not disappear, still parts of the Adventist Chaplaincy Ministry. We retained that program, and that happened in 1985, and in 1995, the GC department was created. So this has been an overview of chaplaincies around the world. Today, in every division of the world, we have ACM leaders that represent all of those countries. And if you are interested in chaplaincy, please go and visit one of them in your home division. And we have, for example, our largest number of healthcare chaplains. Our largest number of chaplains are in healthcare and, as I said, in campus chaplaincy. The numbers keep on growing and growing. And one of the new initiatives that we have in chaplaincy is that now we are moving more and more in the training of chaplains. We, for example, have a clinical training in the island of Puerto Rico, in our Adventist hospital there. We have another training that we are developing in our hospital in Argentina. We are looking at Babcock University to develop another clinical training. We offer masters in chaplaincy at Andrews University, Loma Linda University, the Inter-American Division Theological Seminary, the South American Division Theological Seminary is developing a master's in chaplaincy. The Adventist University in Africa also has a master's in chaplaincy. So we are moving more and more into providing master's level and clinical training for chaplains around the world. We continue to contribute to the life and mission of the church. The gospel to unique places, as I said earlier, to closed institutions. We call it the incarnation ministry. Chaplaincy is a relational ministry. It's important in reaching the postmodern world and what comes after that. As I said, one of our major challenges that we have is to make sure that we support, that we give spiritual care, that we give guidance to our Adventist young people working in universities, studying in colleges. That is a key. And we need trained pastors that are able to do that. Chaplaincy is a ministry like the ministry of Jesus. We are where the people are. Like Jesus, chaplains mingle with the people as one that desires their good. Chaplaincy is also a community-focused ministry. When you are a chaplain in the military, when you are a chaplain in a hospital, when you are a chaplain in a college, you are not a chaplain only for Adventists. You become the pastor of Adventists and non-Adventists alike. In my experience in both the military and the chaplaincy, when you introduce yourself as a chaplain, people will come to you and they will ask you for things. Like I have been asked by people, chaplain, I need to confess my sins. And sometimes they come and ask you, I want you to perform my wedding. Or I want you to be the minister of a funeral. They don't care that you are Adventist or not. They know that you're a chaplain and you know how to do that. So you are there for everybody. Also, as a chaplain, you provide a very good and powerful public affairs ministry of the church in a positive way. Chaplains, Adventist chaplains, have been in funerals in many places of very important people. I know that one of our hospital chaplains in the area of Washington, more than once, actually 3 times, he has been called to be the minister performing in the funeral of a police officer that have died. And he was a Seventh-day Adventist chaplain. Myself, I have been called to funerals of many of our service members, especially sailors. A Seventh-day Adventist performing a funeral, guess what? I preach a Seventh-day Adventist sermon. That will benefit everyone. Chaplains provide or generate goodwill toward the church. And I have to say that around the church, around the world, the church is not growing as much as it should be growing. So we are in many of our institutions providing or equipping or training a lot of young people, but then we cannot employ them. I know of a country that when you graduate from theology school, it takes 3 to 5 years to get a job. Basically, you have to wait for someone to retire or someone to die so that you can get a job. And many of these young people will go on their own and they will start a church, start a new ministry. And then as they gain experience, they can come in as a chaplain. So that's what chaplaincy is all about. And that's a history and a philosophy of chaplaincy. As you continue to study or to look at the possibilities of being a chaplain, please consider the importance of getting training. I don't know who you are. I don't know if you are a faithful lay person of the church that is interested into the ministry. If you are, this course will not prepare you to be a chaplain. But I encourage you, if you don't have theology training, go there and get the training that you need. Get the experience that you need as a pastor so that you can work in areas such as, for example, years ago, September 11, 2011, the United States was under attack. Thousands of people died. It's an area where a time where you can provide ministry. A tsunami have devastated many countries of the world. Hurricanes, earthquakes. Chaplaincy is beginning to expand in areas that were not there before. Training of centers of chaplain are are moving and are being open every day. So there are a lot of opportunities for chaplaincy. And one thing that I do want to leave as I conclude my presentation is this. This training, again, will not prepare you to be a chaplain. But this training can help chaplains become better chaplains. You can use this training as a continuing education. And if you are just interested in chaplaincy, it gives you an overview. And remember that the mission of chaplaincy is to serve as an extension of the church, taking the gospel into unique settings by portraying the character of God, bringing support and healing to people in need, and inviting them to know Jesus. Remember, chaplains will mingle with the people as one that desires their good. And then you invite them to come and follow Jesus. The objectives of chaplaincy is, number one, to develop chaplains who are committed to Christ and to the mission of the church. Chaplains that are involved in the ministry of the church. Chaplains that are professionally competent and trained to be chaplains. Chaplains that are involved in a supportive ministry of leaders and colleagues. Chaplains that are supported by the church. Chaplains that have, and listen to this, a pastor's heart. That's important. And that's why we say that pastors need to be trained and then experienced and then specialized in chaplaincy to become a chaplain. That's important. Keep that in mind. That pastor heart, again, the other problem is that pastor heart, you cannot learn that in the seminary. So yes, the seminary, the theology training is extremely important. But we also require you to be in a church. That pastor heart, no one can teach you that. That pastor heart is developed as you are a pastor in a local church. That pastoral presence is important to have, but you can only develop that in the church. That's why the chaplain needs to have the theological training, the experience as a pastor, and then you become a chaplain. Do you have a heart for people? Colossians 2, 1 and 2. For I want you to know how great a struggle I have on your behalf. For those who have not seen my face, that their hearts may be encouraged, having been knit together in love. How great of a struggle. How I strive on your behalf, he says. How deep is my concern for you, God says. Do you struggle for people as God struggles for us? Do they know that you care? Do you uplift Jesus or yourself? We need chaplains with pastor's heart inside of them. Again, we have chaplains in different areas. Chaplains, remember, are pastors with heart. Chaplains are in the pulpit. Chaplains are beyond the pulpit, sharing the gospel with people in need. That is the story of Adventist chaplain. Chaplains are modern Daniels. May God be with you as you consider chaplaincy. Or may God be with you, more important, as you continue to minister to people in your area of influence. God be with you.